My name is Ashley, and this is Let's Talk Dispatch.
I do. You're gonna do it really well.
And I believe the world needs more dispatchers.
Around in the mud, blood, and
plus
beer.
years that I'm not working 4th of July. 4th of July.
Say community policing, right? What about community dispatch?
So on this show, with the help of my guests, we will educate, empower, and support the heroes behind the headset. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode here on Let's Talk Dispatch. I think this is my first time recording with my brand new fancy sign. I'm really excited about it. I think it really adds a little oomph to the aesthetics. So if you're just listening to this audio, you can check it out on the YouTube channel. And it does a bunch of stuff. It like lights up. It's a whole vibe in here. It's like a club scene. So I feel like it's been a little while since I recorded an episode. Honestly, folks, like life has been happening as it tends to do. And time is just flying by so fast. Today is April 1st. And I just feel like the year is just chugging away. And I hope that you all are really taking care of yourselves, recognizing when you need that rest, because we all do need it. And really practicing that self-care as the time goes on this year. So for today's episode, I'm really excited to be meeting with John Barney. He's been doing dispatch for 9 years and has just accepted the role as a director of a completely new 911 center. And we were chatting a little bit before jumping on here about how much of a exciting and probably stressful role that is. So he is now going to be the director of the new, probably not going to do it justice right now, Turarosa Basin Regional Dispatch Authority Center. And they are also the co-founder of Gold Line Support that I will be speaking on the virtual conference. So we're going to talk a little bit about their new role, their journey, and Gold Line Support here today. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Did I completely mess up the name? Because I felt really confident, but I wasn't quite sure.
Trust me, I've messed it up 1,000 times, and I still probably don't have it right just yet. So,
Oh man,
they're using the sheriff's office name now, Otero County Sheriff's Office. But now that this is going to be a new merger with the sheriff's office and the local police department, they've changed the name to something more spectacular, I guess. So,
I mean, new team, you got to represent, got to get everyone under the new name,
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about like how you got into public safety. I mean, obviously taking on the role as a director, that's a huge new feat, but where did it all start? How did you get into this line of work?
Yeah, so many years ago, I started at the age of 14 in public safety. Now I'm in Florida, but I was originally from New Jersey, lived in New Jersey my whole life. Joined the local first aid squad, EMS, where they had a cadet program, which allows the ages from 14 to the ages of 17 to ride the ambulance and get some mentor experience and learn about public safety in general on the medical aspect or the fire department side. Fire department never interests me. I just stuck with EMS. So I'd rather ride around in the ambulance and have some fun there. So I started, age 14. And that's kind of what entered me into public safety. I learned so much from there, got my EMT, became a full-fledged member of the first aid squad. And then after that, I started to mentor the cadet program. So the cadet program, like I said, it's the ages of high school students that are looking to find a career in what they want to do. So we kind of give them the aspect of what EMS is like, get them their EMT certification, get them on the ambulances, teach them, different skills. I'm very scenario-based when I teach. So I always taught them scenario-based, incidences. And it was always stuff that, was real life that I actually, went on calls for. I also worked paid for a city of Long Branch, which is just a couple towns over from where I grew up. And that was a whole different world. It was a city. You saw shootings and stabbings and everything like that. When I was paid, someone mentioned, hey, you should join a police department, see, maybe get your foot in the door, become a class 1 officer, which is like a parking meter maid or something, people like that. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of want to be like a paramedic in my life, or a flight medic or something. So they're like, well, why don't you do dispatch? And I'm like, dispatch? What's that? And
what is that? I tell you.
Who are those people? They're annoying. They tell me where to go, and I hate it. They wake me up at 2:00 in the morning.
Ain't that the truth? I'm up, you're up.
So I'm like, okay, fine. Let me see what this is all about. So I joined the small little beach department, because Jersey has all these little beachside agents that don't want to go consolidated. And I actually liked it. I worked nights and I hated it, because there's nothing going on in this little town. I kept going and, started there as a summertime dispatcher, went to another agency, was a lot busier, where we had water rescues all the time in the ocean. And then I got hired as a dispatcher with the agency I volunteered for, Little Silver Police Department in New Jersey. And I worked there before I decided to pick up and move and come to Florida. Wow. So that's kind of where my career started there, and then led me into Florida for working for the Highway Patrol here up in Tallahassee. We were the largest PSAP for the state of Florida for FHP Highway Patrol, just over 28 counties. Wow. So that was an experience in its own, but I missed the 911. So I had to get back into the 911, and that's where it put me into Melbourne. And I've been in Melbourne for the last 4 years, gained so much experience there, built a brand new 911 center for them, was allowed to go to the conferences to kind of teach me more. Didn't know what APCO was at that time. So I got to really learn what it was. And after I got back from that conference, I said, I got to do something with my life. I can't just be I just can't be a floor dispatcher for forever. I got to move up. And that's where I kind of put myself in 5th gear, and I got my RPL. I did extra courses that the agency doesn't really need us to have, but I put that under my belt. And then I'm like, I'm going to start applying to places. And that's, I guess, that's where I am now, is going to be a director of a new 911 center. So
that is so awesome. And I think it's hilarious, like, just the growth that we can have in this career, just from the, like, you started at 14 on an ambulance, like that in itself had to be crazy, right? Like, I always say, like, medical dispatch and like that side of the dispatch world is a world I don't want any part of. I don't want to hear you throwing up. I don't want to help you push the baby out on the side of the highway. It's just not my thing, But folks who have that medical background, or that passion for the medical side of it, like, props to you, because I could not do it. So I can only imagine at 14 what those experiences must have been like seeing the folks who call, like, for that kind of help. Even for the medical, it can be a little wild, right? So I can imagine that really kind of changed how you viewed the world a bit. So at such a young age, right?
It does. It 100% does. I mean, I will say we were one of the best squads, and I don't, just because I was there, I don't want to say that we were, but we took care of our cadet program. We made sure that the calls that we were going on were screened by at least, our primary members, our EMTs that were head of the crew, to make sure that it was safe and not going to scar a 14-year-old. But again, just these days, not everyone's going to college anymore. So it really gave these, I say students because they were students, these students, what the real world is. And it really brought them into giving them a career prior to leaving high school and really figuring out what they want to do. Because sometimes in high school these days, they don't teach you what you really need to know in the real world anymore. And that was one thing that I think that I have people still reach out to me to this day that were my cadets. And to me, that just shows I was a mentor to them, that they say, hey, John, thank you for doing what you did during that time. Like, now this is where I am today. So I think it's a good mentoring program. And a lot of 911 centers should look into doing some type of program for mentoring, because where I am now, it's one of those things like we're only losing dispatchers, and like your phrase is, we need more dispatchers. And what are we doing to do that? And one of the things is the mentoring program. And we've set up, and I know some states across the US are doing it, but we've set up where we're doing the PST course in high school as a senior. That's a course you can take. So it allows these seniors to come out with a certification to go right into a job. And I don't want to say it's a job, it's a career, because you can make a career out of this. So that is something that I think is beneficial. And like I said, it's a mentoring program. That's all it is. And I don't think we look at it that way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think one of the, I've said it on here before, but one of the main reasons that I kind of started like fumbling with this RASP dispatcher stuff is because I got my undergrad and my graduate degree in criminal justice. And I was very lucky because I went and played basketball for a bit. So I was able to go get that stuff sooner rather than later. And then I fell into dispatch, and I was like, God, man, I went through 7 years of education, and we never talked about dispatch. And I went and pulled out my own textbooks, looked through the index, there's nothing here about dispatching. And it's such a disservice to our communities in this line of work, because A, we need more dispatchers, and B, it's such a good entry-level career that if school wasn't the thing for you, this is something that you can get into with good benefits, decent pay, and have a stable, financially sound career, and without a degree, which I think is an amazing opportunity for a lot of folks, because for some folks, school just ain't it, and I feel it. And if we can get good people in these doors, we got to get more people to know about it and connect programs and things like that. And I have been talking to some folks who've been doing it in the high schools now, and I think it's so freaking cool. It's so awesome.
It is, and that's it's a new program to us in our county here in Florida. So I really don't know how many people it's gone through one school year so far. So I don't know if we've actually gained any dispatchers. Like my center, we have not gained dispatchers coming out of high school. I don't know about the other centers. We have 12 911 centers in our county, which is insane. But I don't know where we're at, if we're actually gaining people out of it. But it's just in general, I see it every day when we get applications and we don't hire the people. I mean, backgrounds take a while. People can't be off the job. That's what it comes down to. It's the line of work that we're in, that it's just simply that we don't speed those processes up where it's a corporate where they can just hire you right on the spot and you're done with it. So, and that's one of the things that I think is a turnoff to our career. But it's also, you have to have the mind and the shield. I always say the shield, because you have to have some type of body armor for this, because we hear things, we're cursed out left and right on the phone. You just have to build build yourself up that you can't let that get, to you too much. And that's kind of where I look at it too, is you just have to go home and just shake it all off, because what people said to you on the phone, they didn't mean it. They're hyped up. They're calling you for help, and they don't realize some things. Like I always say, I work for a police department, and they call us and it's civil, and I tell them it's civil, and they curse me out, and I'm like, well, why are you calling me? If you knew it was civil, why would you call me? I'm
not a lawyer.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is people in the world just don't know about it, and I think that comes down to just education from the agencies. These agencies, and I'm not talking negative about these agencies, but there are agencies out there. We just don't public educate people on what we do. And our call volume, where I was just at, our call volume, 2 months ago, we were doing about 2,500 calls a week into the center. Now we're up to 3,000 calls. Right before I left, we were up to 3,000 calls. We're up.
You're like, all right, I'm out. You guys got this? All right.
And we just made the whole center short. I mean, they're supposed to be 32 dispatchers, and they're working with 19 right now, dispatchers for their center. And, it sucks for me to leave, but I got career advancement, and I can't not take the opportunity to help them out. And it's just, it comes down to finding people. And the biggest thing I've always said is, and people may be listening that are in my county, but I've always said they just need to consolidate. And I know people don't like that word, but consolidation will help. I mean, where I'm going, there's 2 911 centers. When we merge, we're going to have 32 spots available, and we're only going to be down 6 spots after the merger. And 6 spots to me is really not that bad, because I will be promoting some people to my assistant and the training coordinator, but I could have them work the floor. So really, if you look at it, maybe 4 spots need to be filled, and 4 spots I could fill pretty easily as if we have a good recruitment program.
And I do agree with, like, I met with, I'm forgetting which episode it was, but someone mentioned, like, this is the only service that we don't try to come out of a job. We're not trying to advertise for us not to have any job anymore. Fire does a really good job at that, right? They're like, fire safety, this is like these things, so you don't call us, Whereas 911 or even the police department, we don't have a lot of, like, active communications with the public to prevent us from having a job, air quotes, right? So like these cadet programs, these high school, classes, certification programs, all of those things contribute to educating the citizens, right? So, like, even if they don't come and join dispatch as a career, they spent a semester or a class session learning about what we do, and then when they're in the spaces with people, they're going to tell them, like, no, I took a class. The education will be passed along in that sense as well. So the more community outreach we can do, the more education we can provide as dispatchers, to the folks who are calling us, the more our services are going to be used properly. Because I do think that, as you said, like, a lot of folks call for the civil stuff, and there's a disconnect with understanding what our units have the ability to help you with. It's kind of like we as people want this instantaneous response, this instant, like, justice for the thing that hurt our feelings, to be quite honest. I had someone call recently, and they were driving the wrong way. I was like, are they still there? No. Okay. Do you have a license plate? No. No, what kind of car it was? No. Okay.
Why did you call me then?
It's like one of those things, like, well, they shouldn't have been doing that. I'm like, I hear you, but there's nothing we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like we are first responders. I mean, we're responsive. We're not preventative. And I know that it's kind of scary for some folks to hear. It's just like, you call us when the thing happens, or we're not really there all the time to prevent the thing from happening.
Correct.
Unfortunately, right?
So people just think we're like Disney, where we have a magic wand and we could just fix things. Like,
oh my gosh, my wand's been broken for a while. I don't know.
I had a lady call me from South Florida the other day, literally, I think it was one of my last days, and she's like, I was in a road rage incident yesterday, and I'm like, is there a reason you didn't call us yesterday? She's like, I didn't know what to do. And I said, okay. She's like, well, I have a tag number. Do you want it? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why not? I said, so we're not going to go to the person's house and knock on his door. They're like, well, that's what I expected you to do, is take the tag number and go to his house and see what his problem is. And I'm like, no. She's like, well, I'll be up there next weekend, so can I come to the police department and make a report? I'm like, sure, we ain't going to do anything about it, though.
Come here.
And she was so offended because she's like, I'm calling you guys for help and you're not going to help me. But maybe he was just having a bad day, or maybe you were on your cell phone and you swerved and that's what pissed him off. Like, I've always said, like, when I worked highway patrol, we dealt with road rage incidences all the time.
Whoa.
And the thing I said to all my trainees is usually the person that's calling, reference the road rage incident, is the one that started it. And every time my troopers got out there, they would call me and say, yep, John, you were right. The caller got the citation for road rage. And I'm like,
oh my gosh. I tell you, every single time I had someone call me they're like, they're following me. And I was like, okay, like, we get the car description. Okay, what happened? Well, I yelled at them through the window about not having a plate on their car. And then they got mad and started following me.
Well, you should have done that.
Two wrongs right, but like, mind your business, stay in your lane.
I was telling my friend, I'm like, it's like we're counselors sometimes. We're not even just emergency services. It's like we're literally, it's like parents. And sorry for the parents that are listening right now, but these parents will call me back, my child's not going to school. And I'm like, okay, and be a parent and spank them. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
What's your strategy here? Because this is why I don't have children, because I don't want.
They're like, I can get arrested for truancy. And I'm like, do you know what the truancy law is in Florida? They're like, yeah, if my child doesn't go to school, I'll get arrested. I'm like, yeah, your child has to miss like 10 plus days before you get arrested consecutively too. It's not just one day here and there, and now you're going to go to jail for it. So,
and for me, like those calls are even more tough, right? Because I don't want folks to use our departments and our services, first responders in general, as a fear tactic, right? Like, we don't want to create a negative relationship with anybody in our community, especially youth, especially youth of color. We don't want them to think like, oh, I do something bad, the police show up, I get in trouble. Like, we are a service that should have positive relationships with our communities and should be there to help when things are going bad for individuals. And we don't want to be that for you, especially if you're calling us as a parent, because those calls happen quite often. And if you're listening and you're like, well, I've called them before, like, there are resources and services out there in your community who help deal with youth who are a little combative or, rebelling. But it shouldn't be the police department that's responding for things like that.
Correct. And we emphasize that we are not there to scare anybody. Like, we'll go out, all we do is we'll respond out for the disturbance to mediate the situation, but we cannot force your child to go to school. I mean, It's as simple as that. And when the parents go, I just want you to come scare them. Well, ma'am, sir, we're not doing that. Like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to solve mysteries and solve crime. And that's it. But people don't understand that. I mean, so that's one thing. And it's stress on your dispatchers. I mean, I've, even where I'm at, or was at currently, and where I'm going, that's one of the biggest things is just trying to relieve the stress of the dispatchers from the calls. So giving them the technology that they want. I mean, I know I can't provide them everything, but I'm going to try my best to get them what they need and let them tell me what they want and be able to help them, because that's the biggest thing about our career these days. I mean, it's only getting worse. I never see it getting better. And it's what can we do to help the people that are doing the job? That's what people don't think. And that's what a week is for, National Telecommunicators Week. We're here to recognize the dispatchers across the world on what they do. Just like every other, job title gets some type of recognition through, a week at a time. It's the same thing. And I know when we reach out to people for assistance saying, hey, it's National Telecommunicators Week, do you want us, can you do something? They're like, what do you have? What? You have a dispatch center? Well, when you call 911, who do you think answers the phone?
Like, it goes right to my officer, right? Doesn't the chief sheriff directly answer it?
Yeah. But it's just, those are the things, that this is the time to recognize the dispatchers that do the job. And it doesn't have to come from your leadership in your centers. It can come from your friends and family members that are also working with you. It's the simple recognition and having a fun time. And when you go to work, it shouldn't be, I'm going to work again. You should enjoy going to see your friends. It's your second family. I mean, you spend more time with the people you work with in this career than you spend with your, significant others at home or your pets. I mean, so really make time for it. And that's the biggest thing I can say to anybody, especially that's in the career, because we can't lose any more dispatchers.
Yes.
As simple as that.
And I think it's refreshing to hear that, especially with this new role you're stepping into, right? You're director, first time director, new center, everybody's merging. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And I think, for um, you're trying to create like a culture, right? You're establishing this new culture and this new center with these new folks. And to hear you say, like, my main goal is to hear what my dispatchers need and try to relieve stress off of my dispatchers, that's super important, because one thing, like I've told my officers before, is like, you don't know, like, we dropped that one call that like barely meets criteria and they're a little combative and you're just trying to avoid the thing and just have the officer tell them the thing you already told them, but they don't believe you gotta have the
Yep.
officer call. And they're like, why are you dropping this? I'm like, you don't know how many calls I did not drop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this one I couldn't get away with because
Yep.
they were very adamant that I was wrong, and they want to hear it from the folks with the gun around their waist. That's who they want to hear it from. And so that's the call I dropped. But like, I did not drop 10 other calls that you didn't get to hear or see, or I filtered and made sure they went to the right places. But that's stress. I had 10 minutes of stress and I couldn't get through this one. And now you're giving me, flack for having to drop this call.
Yep.
So really having this, having leadership being able to communicate those kind of realities of both sides of the job, I think is super important in all of our centers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so the other side, outside of the center that you're involved in, is goal line support. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey, how that all started, what your guys' mission is over there?
So goal line support was created was discussed at the APCO conference in San Antonio, which would have been 2021. Yes, 2021. It was at a bar talk when we were all drinking, where most ideas come from.
As they should.
And we, one of the things we just discussed was just the lack of peer support in centers. And again, not dogging out any centers, but a lot of centers do say, oh, we have a peer support program. We have a peer support program. We have a peer support program. And I know there's some centers out there that are great with their peer support program. I'll tell you we had a peer support program. We had a CISM team. Ever use them? No. And that was the problem that we noticed, is that it's just simple, that it was lacking across the US in a lot of centers. So what we decided we were going to do was a Facebook page where most stuff starts on, is some type of Facebook page. So we started a Facebook page, and as we were getting, through it, I took it apart of my RPL project to kind of build this program a little bit more, which turned it into a nonprofit organization. So where we are today, we're a full-fledged nonprofit. We are doing a Sunshine Dispatcher Award, which is the simple recognition of dispatchers. So if you have put in for, or have put someone in for the Sunshine Dispatcher Award, we usually send you a certificate with some stickers and merch. And we'll post it and share your story and why you're recognized by that person. We share the story of what the person is recognizing. So if you write something, which we had one here in Florida when we had the hurricane come through, they recognized one of their CTOs for doing the job and just doing it really well. And we recognized them. We simply sent them, some stuff. We gave them some cards and whatnot, and we've advertised it. And what was really cool about them is they made a whole thing out of it. Same thing with another agency on the west coast of Florida. They actually did a ceremony for it, that they brought in their chief. They brought one of their canines in. One was a fire department, one was the sheriff's office, but they actually brought people, and they actually invited their family into dispatch and handed them the Sunshine Dispatcher Award from us.
Wow.
So it's really cool to see that agencies were doing that and being able to recognize it, and it's free. We send them out. We don't ask for anything besides just a photo of the person receiving the award, so we can share it with everybody else on our platforms. So that's one of the things that we're doing. You talked a little bit at the introduction of the Gold Line Conference that we're having here next month. We have, I think, 23 speakers in 2 days. So that is going to be something that is going to be fun. Again, it's free for anybody. So it's just another way of education. It's more that peer support aspect, because not everyone, when we first thought about it, was, oh, another virtual conference. What are we going to do? Well, the reason we decided to do that, I know there's other people out there that do virtual conferences. We wanted to be able to have an opportunity for dispatchers or new dispatchers that don't have the opportunity to go to a conference. So this is allowing people to sit at their desk. It's each session is going to end up being recorded. So as long as you're signed up and you miss it, you will have access to it. I had actually one of the agencies in Hawaii call us or email us, and they want to join, and they were all worried about the times. And I said, don't worry, it's going to be recorded, because I think like it starts off at like 4 o'clock in the morning for them or something like that. So
we're committed. We're not that committed, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, their night shifters are able to, but their day shifters wouldn't be there at work at the time. So I said, no, everything will be recorded. You know, just if you miss it, you go back to it, you'll be able to watch it again. We have a keynote speaker. We have our closing speakers, 2 closing speakers. One of our closing speakers is Officer Emery with South Carolina, one of the agencies in South Carolina. And of course, my dog is coming to bother me now, but but he's going to talk a little bit about the oh, there she is.
Oh, there you are.
He's going to talk about, you know, the differences of you know, bringing in your on the other side, you know, other side of the headset and interacting with family a little bit. I wanted to have someone touch base on that, the stress of the job and bringing it home to family, and how we can eliminate it a little bit. So you're not always coming home and causing stress on your family also, because that stress lingers. So that is one thing that we're doing. And as you may see, we're posting a lot right now about getting some team members, peer support specialists. We have a project coming down that we want to finish at the end of the year. So we're looking for sponsors. We haven't really advertised a lot with it just yet fully, because we're just kind of keeping on the DL a little bit, because I think it's going to be a really cool opportunity for everyone. But it's something to do with peer support. And we're just looking for volunteers to help us out. And I know there's people out there that want to help out. But if you are interested, just go on our website and apply, and one of my team members will get to you. I have a dedicated person that helps with a lot of the application stuff. And even if it's simple, you just want to ask what it is or talk to us about what's going on, give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll discuss it a little bit more with you guys. But that people are out there that want to see us grow. And we just want to be there to help with the peer support. So like I've been watching you with your Instagrams and stuff like that. And the other one that you just posted earlier today or last night, something like that, about one of the calls you took. Yeah. So listening to that, it comes to a point is, do you have the opportunity at your own place to talk to somebody? And you don't. Not everyone has someone that they can talk to. Granted, you may have a really close friend, but do the rumors start? Yeah. So that's where our peer support project is going, if you can kind of catch on to what's going to happen after the fact.
I like it.
So we have that idea. We're looking to do regionalized wellness retreats. So every year we'll do a wellness retreat, and it will be at a different state in somewhere part of this country, just so everyone can have an opportunity to participate. I know North Carolina, Nina did one, and I know maybe some other states are doing it too, but we kind of want to regionalize it a little bit. Have a program that every year it's something different. So we have ideas. We're still new into the nonprofit, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And we're looking to build our team. Again, it's complete volunteers. We don't ask for you to do a lot, but we just, you may have little tasks assigned here and there, or things that you think that might be beneficial. I'm a person that says, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we'll find a different way. So if anybody has an idea of how they want to implement things, then, we're willing to take you on and try to implement stuff, what we can. And we're going to try to get back into the education. I've just been very busy myself. So it's been hard, but I know like Paige Martin, who's my other co-founder, we worked with the Kyle Plush Foundation, and we did a course with them. They did at one of their APCO conferences that they redid their presentation. So we have some things that we want to do as educational side of it. National Telecommunicators Week, we've done the challenge coins.
Very cool.
So if you haven't got your challenge coin, they're off the website right now, but I will have some more coming in. So the website will have them back up there because I'll probably have some extras again. We sent out our first load, and then I had to reorder more because so many people bought them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, there's a corporate company out there that bought a lot of coins from us, and I'm not sure what he's doing with them, but that it just shows that people respect our mission and what we're doing. So we are getting there, and we'll have we'll get our mission and what we want to do done hopefully towards the end of the year. It's just, again, I'm walking into a position that's going to be crazy myself, so I got to find the time to work on gold line support stuff, but also work on my new job, and that's going to take some time.
Yeah, and I think that's what I really find joy in, finding all these different agencies and different nonprofits and different, even just like Instagram page. That's kind of like what mine started out, just like an Instagram handle, and then it slowly just turns into these other things and these other ways of connecting with the community and providing training. And I mean, I love the virtual trainings, because like you said, like everyone's operating at a deficit in most of our comm centers, and the idea of like giving someone time off, covering their shift so they can go to a conference is tough for a lot of centers to fathom. So being able to log on to these virtual conferences that are recorded if you don't catch them live, and get that knowledge, get that feedback, and ultimately connect with these folks that are in the community wanting to produce informative sessions and things of that nature, I think is one of my favorite aspects of the dispatch community, because I think the last year I'm really starting to dive into that part of dispatch. Went to my first APCO conference last year, and I know like there's a lot of dispatchers who don't know about that side of the dispatch world. You know what I mean? Like, I think about it when I post on my social media and stuff like that. Like, I had to get over like, oh, I'm over posting, I'm doing, this or that, because you're always reaching someone new. Correct. And I think that's kind of the aspect with the virtual conferences is like, well, like another virtual conference, like, no, like you're reaching someone new who didn't get this information, who wants it. So the fact that you guys are offering volunteer opportunities, the virtual conference, even like the challenge coins, these ways of folks to identify with the community that we're dispatching in and learn from the community, I think is amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, I could say like when I first got into this, and I knew nobody, no one I did not know. And going to the first conference, I met so many people. And I still talk to them to this day, Snapchat them, see them on Instagram and Facebook, or, most people will start adding dispatchers on Facebook. Have no idea who these people are across the US, but it's actually awesome to meet these people in person. And then, that was my San Antonio. And then I was meeting more people. And then I get to APCO in California this year, or I guess it would have been last year. But I get to California. I'm surprised I didn't see you, but there's so many people there. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of dispatchers. I met more people, and I mean, some industry workers, people that are in the corporate world that I talk to now. I had no idea who these people were. Now I'm created friends with them, and so, and of course, they're like, "Hey, you going to next year's conference?" And I'm like, "That's my plan." So, but you kind of create a different type of friendship. And then getting into Gold Line support and creating these volunteer opportunities. These are new people that I've never met. And we have conversations every day now through Gold Line support stuff. And you create different bonds between everybody. And it really, you don't realize how many dispatchers are in the world or how many people are out there that want to help. And that's kind of where we're going towards, is we're here to help others. And that's where this project is going towards. Hopefully that will be finished at the end of the year if everything plans out properly.
That's so awesome. And we'll include all the Gold Line support links and info in the post, in the episode post, for folks to go find some more information on and connect with you if they're interested in those volunteer opportunities, as well as to sign up to participate in the conference. So as we start to wrap things up and bring everything to a close, the question I ask everybody, what advice would you give someone who is considering a career in dispatch?
So I just always say, remember, it's not just a job, it's a career. I had opportunities that I wanted to leave this dispatch centers and go somewhere else, but there's always an opportunity to advance in the career. Don't listen to people saying you have to stick it out at one agency. You may have to move around, even to different states. Because I went from New Jersey to Florida and now out to New Mexico. But it's just something that you have to do, and find a mentor, find someone that is gonna lead you in the right ways, and that's not gonna burn you in any way. That's gonna push you to your limits, that you may be really upset with them because they keep pushing you, but they're only trying to help you, and that's a good mentor for you. So
yeah, I definitely am going to piggyback off you. Is that someone asked me when I was stuck in Vegas for like 7 hours, I asked people to ask me questions, and someone asked me about next step, career, something along those lines. And I literally said, I am always looking for the next opportunity. And we should all be doing that. This idea that we have to stay at a center for 30 years or, it's just doesn't happen that way anymore. The world of careers has evolved and changed. So I definitely encourage folks to look for those new opportunities at new centers, at new organizations in private sector, whatever the thing is. Don't feel like you have to give 30 years, under a headset to be considered a dispatcher. I definitely think that for folks who are wanting to promote and folks who are wanting to get out from answering the 911 calls and create those changes in centers, there are those opportunities in both the private sector and other agencies. So always poke your head out, look around, see what feels good for you, because there are multiple ways to impact the 911 industry, and we need help any way we can get. Absolutely. And I've always been told, if you want career advancement, you have to be open. You have to be open to move. You have to be open to for change. And that's one thing that I just had to say to myself is, okay, if wherever this takes me, I got to go there to advance in my career. And I mean, granted, I'm at the top of the chain now. So that's right. Like I said, after, a certain amount of years, I'll reevaluate and see what I want to do. And it may be really, I'm not at the top of the chain, because I could move to another agency that maybe be larger than the center that I'm at, or maybe I'm happy where I'm at. Maybe I want to go down to a smaller center. I don't know. Yeah. And those are things that I may have to do. And then who knows where this is going to take me? It could take me out into the corporate world eventually. I'm still young. I'm only 26. Yeah. So I got a long time ahead of me, and that's kind of the way I look at it. But 100% just, there's not a lot of advancement in dispatch centers. It's one of those positions that people get in it and they stay there forever until they retire. So that's why I would say you have to be open to moving, especially if you want the career advancement in our job. And that's public safety in general. That's not just dispatch. That is public safety in general. hmm And I know that's scary. As someone who just lateral, it is a pain. But again, take a look at what you want. As John said, reevaluate, see what's important to you. What makes your heart sing, and don't be afraid to take those opportunities outside your centers as well.
Absolutely.
Well, John, thank you so much for jumping on here with me. An awesome conversation, per usual. And I'm really excited for the virtual conference. It is going to be my first one, so I'm like really nervous, really excited.
I'm sure you'll do great. You got Casey with you, so
I
you guys will do awesome.
It's really cheating, and I am okay with it. We're going to tag team that up, and if I fuck up, just blame them. It's their fault. But again, John, thank you so much. I'll include all the information in the notes from the episode so folks can reach out to you, learn more about Gold Line support, and good luck at your next place as a director. I'm sure you're going to do amazing.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be right back with you, okay?
Yep.
All right, everybody, another amazing episode of Let's Talk Dispatch. And I'm just going to dive a little into what John and I were talking about in regards to moving on, moving around in this career. I am a big advocate in always looking for the next step. I know there are some circles where some dispatchers feel we have to put in X amount of years to be considered a real dispatcher or something along those lines. And I am here to tell you, you do not. There are multiple ways to impact, support, and change the world of 911. And though we do need more dispatchers answering the calls, there are many ways that you can impact this industry, whatever it looks like for you. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. And you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day. So again, thank you so much for joining us here on Let's Talk Dispatch. Like my sign, let me know. And see you guys next time. Stay raspy. Thanks for joining us here on Let's Talk Dispatch. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Consider joining our Patreon for exclusive content, early access to episodes, and discounts on merch at theraspydispatcher.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of these things help support the creation of more content, because the world needs more dispatchers. Thank you all again for the love and continued support, and until next time, stay raspy.